Well, thank you, everybody, for the privilege of your time, the opportunity to celebrate one of our drawing winners from last week here in Vista, California, and also to have the opportunity to not only highlight the successful vaccine efforts here in the state of California, but the successful effort to incentivize more people to get vaccinated here in the state of California. Let me just briefly update you on where we are in terms of the vaccination efforts in our state. We have administered just shy of 40 million doses of vaccine. That's 15.9 million more doses than the state of Texas, which has the second largest number of vaccinations. We're running at a vaccination rate roughly 1.7 times more than states like Texas, 2 times more than states like Florida. I bring that up for no other reason to then express my gratitude and appreciation to millions of Californians that took the opportunity to get vaccinated and, as a consequence, to put California in the position we are today. California has the lowest case rate in the United States of America, which is significant when you consider the size and scale of our state, the density in this state, and it has put us in a position where we will most assuredly be able to move forward, moving beyond the blueprint next Tuesday, June 15th. More on that in just a moment. So just shy of 40 million vaccine doses have been administered here in our state, a positivity rate that consistently is now below 1%, a case rate, again, that's the lowest in the United States. Since we launched our incentive programs at scale, since we announced these drawings a few weeks back, California has laid claim to be just one of a handful of states in the country that's actually seen an increase week over week in vaccines being administered. This program appears to be working. I don't want to overstate it because this vaccine effort, particularly on the basis of the fact that California has already achieved President Biden's national goal 1 month early of administering over 70%, at least one dose to 70% of adults in the state. The increment of getting from 70, 75 to 80%, that's challenging. But that said, this program seems to have been effective in encouraging more people to get vaccinated, and as a consequence, as I said, just a handful of states can lay claim to seeing week over week increases in vaccination doses being administered. Let me put that in perspective. Just yesterday, we reported 278,000 doses of vaccines having been administered. 1.43 million vaccine doses having been administered in the last 7-day period. A week ago, we were shy of 1 million doses being reported. So we are seeing not only an increase in the reported number of doses being administered, but the actual number of doses on a daily basis increasing by double digits over the course of the last week. And so we're here to celebrate that. We're here to celebrate the progress in this state, which has been demonstrable. We're here to highlight our efforts, which I'll do in a moment, as I said, to move beyond the blueprint on June 15th, to advance efforts we'll do later this afternoon to update our executive orders and provisions in their executive orders. But the real reason we're here is to celebrate a young woman here from the city of Vista, to highlight not only her story, but have the opportunity to ask her a little bit about her story and ask her why she got vaccinated. She is the proud recipient, as a consequence of being vaccinated, of $50,000. Nancy Gutierrez is just 17 years old. She won the prize last week. She was one of 15 individuals where we drew randomly in our Sacramento headquarters, and you can see live on the screen the folks up at headquarters in Sacramento. We drew at random from over 21 million Californians, and I'm going to introduce the folks on the screen in a second. Last week, 21 million people were eligible for the drawing. We took that 21+ million cohort. We broke it down to about 200 people on the basis of what they call these unique numeric identifiers. No names were used publicly. Your confidentiality always first and foremost. We took those 200. There were 50 that ended up in a machine you see behind Senator Eggman up in Sacramento. There was a random draw, and we were able to draw 15 names from those 50 balls, and we were able to identify people by their counties. We then quickly made phone calls on the basis of a process of verification, and we were able to get 13 of the 15 individuals that had their names drawn, and we were able to identify them, contact them, and officially award them $50,000. There were a handful that wished to remain anonymous, which we respect, and there were a number of people that proudly wanted to be made public, including Nancy, who's here today. San Diego County had 3 winners that were identified, 2 that we've been able to reach. 1 we have unfortunately not, and so part of our process and protocol is we have backup balls that we pull, and those backup individuals are being contacted, one now from Sacramento County and another, just 13 of 15, we were able to contact another in another part of our state, I believe Monterey County. But Nancy's here as a winner, 17 years old. We made the point, Nancy, forgive us, when we announced these prizes that if you're below the age of 18, we want to give you the full amount of money, but we want to put it in a savings account. Encourage you to do what you want. Of course, we would like to see you go to college, particularly one of our great public universities. And of course, few other counties can lay claim to have a greater public university system than the county of San Diego. But that said, your choice and your determination of what you'll do with the money. But I want to introduce to you Nancy Gutierrez, the winner of $50,000 because she got a vaccination shot. And so, Nancy, if I could just ask you, why did you decide to get vaccinated?
When I found out that the vaccines were available, I think I was really excited because it means that I get to have more liberty with going outside, and I booked the appointments for my parents and we went during the month of May.
During the month of May. And tell me about your parents. I mean, tell me a little bit about your background. I just had an opportunity to meet your parents and then, of course, 2 of your brothers as well. Tell me a little bit about your family.
Yeah, so my dad works in landscaping. My mom usually stays home with us since we're in online school, and she helps us with whatever she can during the day. And then my brothers are both younger. We all go to separate schools, but of course during the day, during lunch, we all sit together and eat and talk about whatever's been going on in our day. That's great. And so you're 17 years old. You're still in high school. Yeah, still in high school. Junior? Junior year, yeah. About to finish. About to finish. And are you, what's your pathway? You see yourself going to college? You see yourself Yeah, I think I'm going to go to doing what? I'm not sure yet.
Want to give you a sense of what you want to major in?
I was thinking business, but I'm not exactly sure yet.
All right, you got some money to invest.
Yeah.
So. That's good. So what happened? So someone called you and you thought, what, is your brother cranking you or something?
No, they called my mom, and my mom came in and was like, Nancy, you won't believe it. And I was like, we didn't believe it at the beginning, but I think after a few more phone calls, we were like, okay, I think this might be true.
So you got, the first phone call, you're like, they gave you a number to dial back, was that it?
Yeah, they're like, okay, we'll call you back later with more details. And then later they called us and we're like, okay, I think this is true. And then this whole week, I think it's confirmed now since I'm here.
It definitely confirmed. I see your name on a $50,000 check.
Yeah.
The only thing missing is the signature, but we'll get to that in a moment. But so tell me, for those folks out there, California's doing very well. We're the 12th state in the U.S. to actually pass the threshold that President Biden set of 70+% of adults getting vaccinated. And as I said, we were able to do that a month early. But what would you tell folks that are still a little hesitant, that feel like we got this, that somehow the disease, the pandemic's behind us, and it's not necessary? What do you tell folks that still may be a little bit reticent to get a shot?
I think most of us want life to go back to normal, and getting the vaccine would definitely help that. So I feel like I would encourage everyone to get the vaccine.
That's it. And did you get the 2-dose vaccine or
Yeah.
single dose?
I got 2 doses.
And do a lot of your friends in school, did they do it as well, or was it mostly, I mean, the sort of family dynamic that made you make that decision?
Most of my friends have begun to start getting it, so yeah.
Right. And what is it, and when people in your cohort, your friends, what's the 1 or 2 issues that may express if they have doubts or anxiety about it? What do they ask you about it? Did it hurt? Were there side effects? I mean, what do they ask you about?
I think, well, obviously the side effects, personally I didn't have that many, and then the needle. I think most of us are afraid of the needle, but otherwise I think most of them were pretty comfortable with getting it.
And when you got that second dose, was it a sense of relief? Did you feel like, I can breathe again?
I took out a deep breath, and then the next day I had a bit of a headache, but nothing bad. So
Nothing bad.
Yeah.
That's good. So you hear? I mean, you don't have to. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I mean, I'll put you on the spot, but I don't want to put any pressure, as I should say, because you are on the spot. Forgive me.
Yeah.
But I mean, would you? I mean, getting back to normal, more of us get vaccinated. We put this disease behind us.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say again to folks, not just here in San Diego County, but all across the state, even younger people? Young people are getting infected. In fact, we're seeing larger percentage now of young folks getting infected with this disease than older folks. Any final message to folks besides the fact if you do, you're eligible for next Tuesday, $1.5 million prize? What else would you say?
I think, well, for young people, I think we all like to hang out with our friends and go out and do fun activities. And I think getting the vaccine, it would be safer to hang out with your friends and go out. So.
That's good. Well, we're proud of you, and I imagine your family couldn't be more proud and excited about you. There's mom and dad and your brother, and then the little guy who's still in first grade.
Yeah.
And so, they're going to be nice to you, I have a feeling, until at least
me too.
over the next couple of years. Well, with that, let's sign this thing so we can get this money in your bank account, and then we'll introduce the Assemblywoman. But let's. How do we sign? We'll sign it right here. Nancy, get in here. Make sure I sign it in the right place, and then we'll do a photo real quick. All right. Why don't we just do a little photo, Assemblywoman? Here it is, Nancy. This is your $50,000 cash prize. We thank you. You can, I don't know how many ATMs you can put that in, but do your best. But thank you. And with that, let me introduce your Assemblywoman, who has been a steadfast advocate not only for our vaccination efforts here in the region, but throughout the state of California, but also around the issue of equity. And I think a big point that we want to emphasize here today is we still have work to do to make sure that we're equitably distributing vaccines, that we're doing so that meets the needs of the most diverse state in the world's most diverse democracy. And so the issues continue to persist as it relates to the needs of the Latino community and the African American community. And Assemblyman Berner Horvath, and we were talking about her interesting history of her husband and herself in terms of her last name. But I'm very proud of you and grateful to all your strong advocacy, not only on vaccinations, but also on testing and throughout this pandemic. And so with that, Assemblywoman, we'll say a few words, and then we'll turn on the machine in Northern California at Lottery headquarters in just a moment. Assemblywoman?
Well, it's the worst place to be between the governor and the exciting Vax for the Win lottery winners. But I want to just thank you so much for coming to Vista. I don't think anybody has any memory of the last time a governor came to Vista, so thank you, Governor Newsom, for being here. And thank you for all your support. When the pandemic hit, I think we were all so scared. And as science evolved, so has our policies. And I think Nancy said it best, when the vaccine came out, everybody, when they were eligible, rushed to get it. And we made sure that here in Vista, we had a testing facility that became a vaccination facility. And getting your first dose is important. Getting your second dose is most important, not only because that means you could get your lottery for Vax for the Win, but also because it means we're keeping our community safer. And so my husband and 2 kids are in the back there, and my husband and I are fully vaccinated. My son gets his second shot next week. But we get those shots not just for us. We get those shots because my daughter Maya is 10 years old. and she can't get the vaccine right now. So we want to make sure we keep ourselves safe, the people we love safe, and in North County, we are great about lifting up our communities. So when we get vaccinated, we are lifting up our communities. I know we do that throughout California. So get vaccinated, everybody. Most of the clinics are walk-in. Nothing's stopping you. I didn't have any side effects from either of mine. My son was a little bit tired, so it meant he went to bed before midnight, so it's cool for parents. But thank you so much for being here, and let's go to Sacramento.
Let's do that. Let's turn this over. I see Assemblymember McCarty. I see someone dressed up in a Lions outfit. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then, of course, Senator Eggman, who's up there. And this is, as we noted, this is the headquarters for the state lottery up there in Sacramento. We've got this fancy ball machine behind me. And Senator and Assembly member, maybe you can explain exactly what we're doing again today. This is the second and final pull and draw for 15 individuals getting $50,000. In this case, we have 21.98 million people that are eligible to win, that have received at least one dose of vaccine. Again, we took that 21.98 down to 200, down to 50 balls you see behind me, and you will randomly pull 15. They will have a number, and those numbers will coincide with a county. We have our own Nancy Gutierrez here that will put a sticker on the county. You'll see the yellow dots that reflect the counties that won last week, including 3, as I said, down here in San Diego, Orange County, LA, Mendocino, San Luis Obispo. Good representation, though we want to see some counties in the Central Valley today, but that's going to be random and determined on the basis of the leadership that is assembled in Sacramento. Assembly member, we're turning it over to you.
Well, thank you, Governor. This is, of course, my district here in Sacramento and the lottery headquarters. So we want to be official here, where they do the state lottery every month for the last 30 years here in California to fund our schools. This is something different. This is about the vaccine and making our communities healthier. And we're pulling out 15 numbers here behind us. We're going to hold up the number and also identify the county. The big picture, of course, is that we need everybody to be part of it for California to get back on track. As our high school student noted, we all want to get back to normal. This COVID-19 has had a huge impact on our economy. We lost billions of dollars with us not being able to go out and run our businesses and shops and restaurants and so forth. So, 70%, as you noted, have stepped up and gotten the vaccine, but we need more because we're all in this together. And so this is about acknowledging people that have done so, but also getting some people off the sidelines to step it up and get that vaccine. So this is about getting our economy back going. We are roaring back with Slamson right here. And Governor, this is our mascot for the Sacramento Kings. Unfortunately, we haven't seen the Kings in the playoffs for 15 years. So we don't get to. They'll be back soon. They'll be back soon. This is Slamson, our treasurer here in Sacramento. So great to be here. Thank you.
I love it. And by the way, we talk about, Assembly member before the senator speak, we talk about California coming roaring back. Seems appropriate. We have a lion to help underscore that narrative. Senator Eggman.
Thank you very much. And I'm so excited to be here. And I also have my 12-year-old here with me who got her second vaccination last week. So she's almost fully masked. Wow. I took mine off because I'm fully vaccinated. So that's one of the bonuses of of getting your vaccination is not having to be a mask. And people keep asking me, like, how do you get into the lottery? You just have to get vaccinated. That's it. Then we're all going to be winners. So we're talking about the hard times of the pandemic, and it was terrible. But let's talk about going forward now. Let's talk about summer's coming, $1 million drawing next week. But today we are picking $50,000 winners, and I'm so excited. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. All right, and we got Slamson. He's got to wear his mask. He put the mask and mascot. Gotcha.
Here we go. There it is. 50 balls randomly dropping. They're going to pull 15. They're going to do it in 3 increments of 5. The number coincides with an actual individual in a represented county. And once those numbers are pulled, Nancy and the folks in Sacramento will identify the county where that individual resides. Department of Public Health will contact that individual, and they'll make a determination for themselves whether or not they want their name public.
Okay, the first one is 45. And that is in Monterey County.
Monterey
Over on the coast.
County. There you are. All right.
Thank you. All right, we want to get some valley towns now. We want some valley representation. What's this one?
Okay, lucky number 13
13.
from Sacramento County.
Oh, that seems a little self-indulgent. We'll see. We're going to check the verification on that. All right.
Yeah, he picked it.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. Number 47, Alameda County.
Alameda
Right
County.
over there towards the coast. It's already got a yellow ball on it.
Yep. Representing again the winners, at least in the counties last week.
Okay, number 19 from the county of Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Down there on the coast. There you go.
Remember, this is random on the basis of number of individuals that have been vaccinated.
Number 38, also Los Angeles County.
Uh-huh. Folks down here in San Diego are booing. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Okay,
Shall we spin it again?
five more.
Spin it again? Let's spin it again. There you go.
Here we go. So that's the first round of 5. And we've got the second group randomly selected from 21.98 million individuals that have received at least one dose of the vaccine.
All right, 48
Number
from
48.
the county of San Francisco.
San Francisco, I've heard of it. Look at that.
Hey, this one feels like a valley lucky town. 40. Number 40.
Here we go, San Joaquin.
Los Angeles. Okay.
Los
All right.
Angeles.
All
Wow.
right, we're happy.
Yeah, now the boos are louder now here in San Diego.
Okay, 34
34.
from
Fresno.
Oh, here we go. What? Finally, the Central Valley. All right.
Here we go.
Right. Number 33. 33. San Diego.
San Diego. Oh, my gosh. I need earmuffs.
Okay,
Burst of applause here.
21, Blackjack 21 from San Mateo.
San Mateo. All right, that's a first. Bay Area County.
Okay.
All right, 5 more. Five
This is
more.
it, the final 5 of the 15. These will be the last 5 randomly chosen. Individuals receive one vaccine. From 22 million folks eligible, it all comes down to a final 5 to win $50,000 cash prize.
I represent a little bit of Sacramento.
Here's one more San Diego.
Okay, ready?
We'll see.
Okay. I feel a Stanislaus or San Joaquin County coming right here. 42. 42. Santa Clara.
Santa Clara. All right, another Bay Area county.
We're on the coast a little bit.
All right, here we go. Lucky number 6 from the county of Riverside.
Riverside. Look at that. There are a few Riverside fans here. Of course, we're at a clinic that services Riverside residents, so it seems
All
appropriate.
right, another double digit. 11.
11.
Almost old enough to be vaccinated. Orange County.
Orange
Orange
County.
County.
I didn't see any applause here in San Diego for Orange County.
All right, 32. 32 from the county of Kern.
County.
Kern, look at that.
Kern.
All right, we definitely with someone who thinks it's them from Kern. It just applies. Is it, Senator? Hold on. Is this it? Is this the last?
This is it.
This is the last one.
This is it.
So I mean, I just let's put this in perspective. We gave away $750,000 last week. You're about to with this another $750,000. So this is your last chance. Everybody out there listening, this is one of 30 winners. This is the last individual winning $50,000 cash prize. Slamson is working on the senator. We got the music blaring. We've got some form of dance that we're experiencing and enjoying with the senator And so here it is, the final winner of the $50,000 draw.
CSU Stockton, number 2.
Number 2.
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara. All right. Well, well done. Outstanding work. Assemblymember and Senator Slamson. It's great to see your daughter, Senator Eggman. And we're very proud to be able to make the announcement today. Department of Public Health will get on the phone. We'll verify these winners. We, as you know, have randomly selected 150 others of the 50 that balls were in there today as backup. There's Tier 1 backup, Tier 2 backup. But based on the success of last week, 13 of the 15 individuals we were able to quickly identify. We're confident we'll get these dollars out very, very shortly. So we're very grateful. Headquarters, lottery headquarters in Sacramento, California. We thank Sacramento for the outstanding effort and work. And I want to thank again the lottery for their consultation. This, however, is not an official lottery draw. I want to make sure that is clear. Our attorneys remind me of that on an hourly basis. We're back here, though, in Vista, and I want to just make a few additional points before we open it up to any questions. I also want to just acknowledge we're very pleased, and this may matter to many folks that are listening, for people that have been vaccinated. We have a few home-based California companies that are joining our efforts to provide incentives. Chipotle is providing free those what is it? The queso? I don't remember exactly what they're providing, but we're giving everybody that's been vaccinated with a purchase for free meals on June 15th. We have Taco Bell that's doing those fancy Dorito tacos, which are addictive beyond words. They're doing free Dorito tacos as well on June 15th. And so we want to thank Taco Bell and Chipotle for their incentives and support. LA Clippers, as well as the Golden State Warriors, are doing merchandise discounts, 15 and 20% respectively. Staples is also doing that for all LA-based merchandise. And those are extended from June 15th to June 20th. And this is an important point I want to make. Our efforts do not end on June 15th. The incentives don't end on June 15th. We look forward to making more announcements on more incentives as we move into the next few weeks and the next few months, always mindful of what the Assemblywoman said and what Nancy herself said, and that is good enough never is. There is no having made it. This disease does not take the summer months off. This disease does not extinguish itself. We have work to do to get these vaccination rates up, and we have ongoing work to do to make sure it's done in an equitable manner. And so we'll continue to work hard to advance those efforts well beyond next week. But let me just briefly end by highlighting what we're doing next week. So we just distributed $1.5 million over the course of the last 2 Fridays, what we refer to as the $50,000 Fridays, with the additional individuals we pulled today. Next Tuesday, we randomly draw for everyone that's gotten at least one dose of vaccine. And this includes you or it doesn't. You'll make that decision for yourself. I would highly encourage, if you're on the fence, to go out and get vaccinated before Tuesday. If you do, you'll automatically be in a drawing to win $1.5 million, not $50,000, $1.5 million. 10 individuals will receive $1.5 million in that drawing that we'll be doing on Tuesday. And so that will be the sort of finale of these large-scale efforts, and we're grateful that we're able to move in that direction because of the success of these 2 $50,000 Friday drawings and obviously the successful vaccination efforts that continue in this state. I also want to just quickly remind people, just briefly, that a number of critical things are also going to happen on Tuesday beyond distributing $15 million in prizes. On the 15th, we're moving, as I said, beyond this blueprint. We're moving away from the restrictions on physical distancing. We will be updating our masking guidelines to align with the CDC. Earlier this week, the California Department of Public Health did just that on the masking guidelines. You may have noted that Cal OSHA rescinded their regulations they adopted last week. Later today, they will be making public in detail what will be agendized on the 17th of June next week, and that is updated guidelines. And we'll have the opportunity to review in detail that notice later this afternoon. Accordingly, later this afternoon, we will be updating in a press conference with our legal team, folks at the Office of Emergency Services, as well as Dr. Galley, our Dr. Fauci, will be updating the press on the details of our efforts to wind down all of these executive orders that have been signed over the course of the last many, many months. Dozens and dozens of executive orders, hundreds, quite literally hundreds of provisions will begin to wind down in an orderly manner over the course of the next days, weeks, and months. They'll work through the details of what is included and a few things that are not included, a few things like pharmacy techs continuing to be able to, pursuant to those orders, to administer vaccines, and allowing, as an example, the continuation of some telehealth efforts for doctors and others. And so they'll go through what's included, what's not, but the vast majority of either sunsetted or in the process of sunsetting, and those provisions will be highlighted in a press conference later this afternoon. So all of this is aligning very favorably to June 15th. But let me be clear in this respect. Today, officially, I'll be signing 2 executive orders that will officially move this state out of the restrictions and modifications, occupancy modifications and restrictions, not just the physical distancing, pursuant to that blueprint. That blueprint will no longer exist next Tuesday, pursuant to these 2 executive orders, one winding things down, another lifting and rescinding that blueprint, which has been in effect just over 40 weeks here in the state of California. And again, that could not happen had it not been for all of your hard work, your resilience, remarkable effort that all of you have advanced over the course of the last year. So I want to thank 40 million Californians strong for what you've endured, the stress, the anxiety, the fear many people have had. This has been a very challenging time for everybody, and I'm very encouraged that we are where we are. By the way, our hospitalization rate today, for the first time, has dropped below 1,000. Again, lowest case rates in America. 38% of America's jobs came out of the state of California last month. I wasn't joking when I referenced to Slamson. This state is not coming back. It's coming roaring back. You saw yesterday the port of LA reached a milestone they never thought they'd hit, 10 million cargo that they have transferred just in the last 12 months. Historic and unprecedented. And so this is a very enlivening time, but it's also been a very challenging time, and we're mindful of that, very sensitive to that. And we have a lot of work to do to help our small businesses, more grant programs, more support on the way, a lot of work to do to address anxiety around people that are concerned about the rent moratorium being lifted, though we are working with the legislature to extend it and provide rental relief, utility relief, including water relief for hundreds of thousands of eligible Californians. We look forward to getting all our kids safely back in-person instruction, 100% in the fall. And again, we're very, very grateful to all of you, and particularly the elected officials that joined us today for their advocacy and steadfastness and their support of our efforts to make sure that when we recover, we're doing so in an equitable manner. We talk often about this. It's not just about growth in the abstract. It's about inclusion. And that's foundational. And that's why I'm proud to be here in Vista, proud to be here at a remarkable clinic serving the needs of residents here, not only from the county, but from surrounding counties, and grateful to be here with a remarkable 17-year-old winner of $50,000 cash prize. With that, we're happy to take questions.
Governor Newsom, my name is Jamie Chambers from Fox 5 here in San Diego. the one question we hear, and I'm sure every single one of the reporters wants to know, is for the unvaccinated at a workplace, even if there's a single, will everyone still have to wear masks if they are vaccinated themselves inside? And Cal OSHA is still working that out this afternoon, but you can make a determination anytime you want on that.
Yeah. So they rescinded that order, and they are publishing the guidelines. That will be answered in detail in a few hours. It is, I think, suggestive that they rescinded it. It's suggestive that I am highlighting it of what you can anticipate on the 15th and 17th.
And Nancy, have your brothers and sisters come to you for any sort of loans or financial issues?
Here we go. That's the
now
right
that
question.
You're the Baroness of the house?
Not yet. Not yet, but pretty soon, I feel like. When it gets closer to when I turn 18, they probably will be.
Yeah. But you didn't ask if I didn't ask for a loan, right? I mean, right when she walked in. So, yeah, I may have been, I wasn't the first, though, tell the truth.
No, you weren't.
And I'm good. No need. You keep that money. And by the way, don't spend all that money. This is my only advice. I'm not going to give you got your parents here, but invest it in your future and in your mind. That would be my recommendation.
Thank you, Governor. Elliot Spaggett from the Associated Press. I wanted to try my luck at three very quick questions. One on the Cal OSHA issue. Are you ruling out any executive order on workplace wearing masks in the workplace? Second, on school masks in the school, LA Unified and its teachers agreed to call on students and teachers to wear masks. Any thoughts on that, whether you think that's a good idea? And then, sorry, the last one, unrelated to the virus. Vice President Harris has come under a little criticism from pro-immigrant allies for some comments in Guatemala this week that, to migrants, telling them not to come and making no mention of asylum. I'm wondering if you heard those remarks and had any thoughts on them.
Yeah, so let me try to unpack these. OSHA will be coming out with their updated guidelines today. We believe those guidelines will align with the CDC, as has the Department of Public Health guidelines that were announced earlier today. That's my hope and expectation. As it relates to the utilization of executive orders, I have no problem whatsoever moving forward as necessary across the spectrum, including the two executive orders we're signing today, one rescinding the blueprint officially on Tuesday, June 15th, and the other winding down a series of other executive orders and provisions over the course of the last many, many months. So the answer is on the basis of a determination of where they end up, we'll make that determination. But I'm confident that these guidelines will align with the CDC. As it relates to the issues with the Vice President, I just couldn't be more proud of this administration, turning the page from the previous administration, a more enlightened immigration approach and policy. I had the pleasure of being with Health and Human Service Secretary Becerra a week ago, talking about how California could be more supportive in terms of the needs of asylum seekers, particularly young children. And we have continued to approach these efforts with the federal government in a spirit of collaboration and cooperation, not with a closed fist, as a number of other states, but open hand. As it relates to her comments, we only say this. We believe, I certainly believe, the right people to seek asylum in a safe way, and I believe that the entire immigration system needs to be reformed, and California has long had, from my perspective, at least in the last few decades, a more enlightened approach to immigration, a more inclusive approach. And we've long prided ourselves on being a universal state. As I said a moment ago, the most diverse state in the world's most diverse democracy. We practice pluralism, and we are prideful of our diversity. We celebrate it. We don't tolerate it. And I'm very, very pleased to work with this administration, not only the president, but the vice president herself.
Thank you. And the schools, wearing the masks in the schools in the fall.
Thank you. Look, we want to see people back in person, full-time instruction, safely in the fall, working with the legislature, the Assemblywoman, among others, to make sure there's appropriate resources to provide for that. By the way, we're not waiting till the fall. I don't know if you noted, we announced earlier in the week that close to 90%, just shy of 90% of schools in the state, districts rather, are providing summer enrichment to address the issue of learning acceleration, not just learning loss. You can't lose something you didn't get. So we want to accelerate learning, high-dose tutoring and supports. So we want to activate more summer opportunities, but we also want to activate full-time in-person instruction. That goes in effect officially by statute on June 30th at midnight as a default. And we look forward to aligning with CDC guidelines. We made that clear this week, Department of Public Health, Dr. Galley, and that includes in our K through 14, K through 12 education system, LA among them.
Governor, Matt Hoffman from KPBS. On the Cal OSHA topic, I know that, obviously you said that you're not afraid to issue any executive orders, but even if Cal OSHA meets on the 17th, we know that there's a 10-day delay period, so even if they align those guidelines, there's a delay. Just to be more clear, will you issue an executive order to align the labor law with the current masking guidelines?
Yeah, we're going to wait the decision that's made. That's the appropriate thing to do. As it relates to the administrative law process, which you rightfully identify as a 10-day process, that needs to be addressed and will be, I assure you, addressed. The details of what will be on that agenda will come out later this afternoon. It's pretty clear on the basis of the fact that OSHA has rescinded the previous order. My comments of last week, my comments of today, where we stand, will be providing clarification, and I'm very mindful of those gaps and will address them appropriately.
And then I know you talk about post-blueprint, we talk about that a lot. Any concerns that you have or anything that you're specifically looking for after June 15th?
Yeah, look, no one is naive about these variants. We're tracking 8 or 9 variants here in the state of California, including our own West Coast variants, New York variants, this double mutation out of India, which got a lot of attention. They refer now Alpha, Delta variants, B117, the old vernacular, the UK variant being the most prominent here in the state of California outside of our own West Coast variants, of which there are 2. These mutations are concerning. So are the low vaccination rates in many states in this country. I'm very concerned about that. As we move into the summer months, people put down their masks, literally and figuratively, and announce mission accomplished. We're not even close to where we need to be as a nation. We're not at herd immunity, not even close. So we're mindful of that. That's what these vaccine incentives are all about. Good enough never is. I say that over and over and over again because it needs to be said over and over and over again. And also I'm mindful that we don't live in the aggregate. You got to look at these numbers and break them down. Members of the Latino community, African American community, we still have work to do to reach out in these quartiles geographically, not just ethnically and racially, to make sure that we're meeting people where they are. That's why we have GOTV programs, get out the vaccine programs, boots on the ground, knocking on doors, doing phone banks, working with churches, doing more in-language efforts. This effort here is to highlight, create awareness, and encourage people that may be on the fence to take advantage of getting vaccinated so they can take advantage of the opportunity to win $1.5 million next Tuesday. And quite literally, that may happen, but it can't happen unless you get vaccinated. And so we want to encourage that. And so we are going to continue to be vigilant and mindful. And you're right. If it requires us to intervene, of course we'll intervene on the basis of public health, but also on the basis of economic opportunity. And I'll close on this because I think it deserved even more attention than it received. UCLA did an economic forecast. They analyzed the largest states in the country and their approach to the pandemic and how it impacted economic growth. It's a fact, not an assertion, that California outperformed on the health index and on the economic index compared to states like Texas and Florida. A lot of attention's been placed on those states economically. Not enough attention was placed on the state of California economically. We contracted at a lower rate than those states and had better health outcomes because of our non-pharmaceutical interventions and ultimately because of the efforts that we're advancing here with vaccinations. I'm not here to overstate it, but I want folks to know that this state not only enjoyed a 38%, a milestone of generating 38% of America's jobs in April, but 41% in February. And we're generating close to $80 billion operating surplus, which allows us not only to have the highest reserves in history, pay down long-term obligations like pension, close to $11 billion to pay down pension obligations, but to make unprecedented investments to deal with the pre-existing conditions in the state, issues of encampments and homelessness, what's happening in behavioral health and mental health, and rebuilding our mental health system in the state of California, to address the issues of affordability and housing, and make investments in early childhood education, to clean up the streets in the state of California, quite literally clean up the streets. So we are in a remarkable position. Again, not just coming back, but roaring back because we've had a health-first focus. And I'm very proud of that, and it's driven our economic resiliency. And again, those are not just my words. Those are the words that have been advanced by economists, including our own UCLA.
Hello, Governor. Paul Sisson with the San Diego Union Tribune. Nice of you to come meet with us at Vista Community Clinic today.
Yes, thank you.
I had a question about the masking guidance that came out from the state on Wednesday. It indicates that businesses have 3 different options to handle patrons coming in. And one of them talks about implementing a vaccine verification to determine whether individuals are required to wear a mask. Does this mean that the state's coming up with some kind of electronic verification method beyond paper vaccine cards, which we know can and are being forged by some?
Yeah, well, I worry about some of the legal activity happening with vaccination cards where people are selling illegally forged vaccination cards. In fact, we've highlighted some of the enforcement actions we've taken, and we take that very, very seriously. So if that activity persists, we need to be, certainly if we're aware of it, we're going to target enforcement very aggressively. If we're not aware of it, I encourage people to call that out. But as it relates to technology and the tools of technology, there are opportunities to make available different strategies to provide a more secure, safe, and transparent form of verification. But again, this is voluntary. So I want to make this crystal clear before folks run with it. It's become so politicized, like almost everything in the state and nation, that there's no mandates, no requirement, no passports in that respect. But if a business, a private enterprise with the freedom of choice and decision, that's what free enterprise is about, makes a decision as it relates to a choice, and you're right to reference 3 specific strategies that the Department of Public Health put out, that we would look to help support those efforts and modernize the opportunities, and we'll be making some announcements very shortly in that space.
Can you say roughly how that might work?
As I said, look forward to making those announcements in that space to provide support for businesses that make that decision independently on the basis of their own determinations. But a good question, and I appreciate the opportunity to showcase and highlight some of our thoughts very shortly, and we will be.
Hi, Mimi Alcala with ABC 10 News here in San Diego. I just wanted a little bit of clarification on the Cal-OSHA guidelines. No. So is that the proposal that's being released today? Is that the same thing that's going to be discussed on June 17th, or can you explain that further?
Yeah. So look, the OSHA rescinded their old rules. We expect they'll be consistent with the CDC. They put notification of the rescission, or rather, they're putting notification out today of their meeting on the 17th. Then it will be answered. You know where we're going. I anticipate their action will be consistent with the CDC, but they have to make that decision. And I want to respect that process. If I didn't, that would appropriately open us up to criticism, and I want to be fair to that deliberative process. But I'm encouraged, make this crystal clear, encouraged that they rescinded the old decision. I am encouraged by what I am told about what they will publish this afternoon, and have confidence that they will be moving in a consistent direction with the other directives that have been put out. And we will act accordingly on the basis of that after their decision is made to clarify any ambiguities or considerations of concern. So hopefully that clears things up on the basis of the transparency of the actions that they will publicize today that they are likely to take on the 17th.
Hello, Governor. I'm Kirsten Holmes, representing CBS 8. We appreciate your efforts for vaccinating Californians and coming down here to Vista, California to do so. My question, though, is about wildfires and PG&E. It's from...
Nancy, you're going to take this?
Sorry, Nancy. We're getting in on Nancy Shine here just a little bit. My apologies. My question is, PG&E was convicted last year of 84 felony manslaughters. It's under a new homicide investigation in Shasta County and facing new felony charges in Sonoma, all for wildfires that CAL FIRE says PG&E power lines started. How do you tell the victims of those fires that this company deserves a safety certificate?
Well, we've been very critical. I don't think there's ever been an administration in California history that's been more critical of PG&E. We have a brand new board of directors. We have a new CEO. We have new guidelines, mandates as relates to safety oversight, expectations in terms of investments without a return on those investments that would fall in the way of increased bills. We put together a package working with the legislature, two separate pieces that allow for more transparency, more accountability for PG&E in terms of their wildfire safety improvement plans. We have also required that members of their board, at least a member of their board, have expertise in this space, and we have a transparent process that has to be certified on an annual basis to quantify their assertions in terms of their safety efforts. We have a federal judge, Judge Alsop, that also has overseen PG&E and has been very pointed and critical. As it relates to victims, we were pleased they made a determination on a settlement. PG&E, one of the largest settlements in history of an independent operator, IOU, as we refer to them in the state of California, and we want to see those dollars distributed in a timely manner pursuant to the agreement that they made with those settlements. As it relates to oversight, we just have to maintain our vigilance, not only in the CPUC, but also with oversight in the legislature. And we're all very mindful of the bad past practices of PG&E, and that's why, forgive me, the lazy frame, but it's not just trust. It truly is, in sort of Reagan-esque terms, verify over and over and over again, verification and transparency front and center in terms of any actions or inactions as it relates to PG&E. Thank you.
Governor Ed Linderman, KUSI News. Your staff tells me I had the honor of asking the last question.
These never go well, the last questions.
Appreciating the separation of executive branch from departments, the OSHA thing was a big deal, and there was a lot of confusion, and you are very confident, you've said it about 3 times now, if not 4, about how this is going to go this afternoon. Again, separation, but did you personally or someone from your administration have to literally get on the phone and say, what's going on here? We've got to get with the CDC, and we got to do it before June 15th.
Yeah, look, I've made no bones about where we stand as an administration. Going back to April when we announced our intention to move beyond the blueprint on June 15th. We've consistently met all the thresholds and benchmarks we set out in April. We've actually exceeded them across the board to have the lowest case rates in America is a perfect example of that, coming the 12th state to actually vaccinate all adults, at least 70% of all adults, the 1 dose in the state of California. The hospitalization numbers were also a measurement and a metric that we advanced in April. And as I noted today, it's the lowest number, below 1,000 since the beginning of this pandemic. So in every way, shape, or form, I expect and am determined to see a favorable outcome when they convene. I have every expectation you'll see that later this afternoon as it relates to the details of what they'll vote on. I was very pleased to see them rescind earlier in this week their previous vote. And so, as I said a week ago, we'll get where we need to go, and I have all the confidence in the world we'll get there next week. To the extent there's some ambiguity between 15th and 17th in this 10-day ALJ process, we seek to clarify that in real time as well, and we'll be clear in terms of our intent after OSHA's action in that space. Look, everybody that's still with us, I'm grateful for that opportunity and pleased again to be here at Vista Community Clinic. I'm grateful for their incredible work they do every single day in a very culturally competent way, regardless of your status, to make sure we're here to protect the needs of Californians. I want to thank all of the legislative leaders up there at headquarters in Sacramento. I hear the exit music in the background, which says this, nothing more than this: our time is up. The Assembly member and to Nancy and her family, it is wonderful to be here with you to celebrate this encouraging and important news today. Take care, everybody.